Welcome to Crushing 1L, a podcast about the virtues of Command F. I'm Aaminah. I am a 1L at UCLA Law, and I am joined by Abhi, a 1L at Penn Law. Abhi, what do you know
Amina,
about
what
Command
what are
F?
you command effing? I don't even, like, what are you talking about?
Abhi, um, I have to tell you, for some exams, I know that you and your classes, it seems like a lot of your semester and maybe your exams have been like offline, hard
Yeah.
copy
Yeah,
stuff,
no
but for,
no no computers in class and all hard
yeah.
copy notes for finals.
Yeah, well, for us, that is not the case for all of our exams. I'm saying this like I've been able to access my notes for many of my exams. I haven't. Only contracts allowed me to have what is called a partially secure exam, but I was able to command F through my documents, various documents on that exam, and it was delicious.
Yeah, command F definitely beats like flipping through 50 pages of notes, but it also I think I would get overwhelmed with the amount of notes that people bring. Like if you're
Yeah.
allowed to start bringing digital stuff cuz like I was physically limited to, oh, well, I only want to bring like a couple binders, like, my main outline, then maybe some notes from class, and then maybe the casebook. I brought the casebook for Cipro because it has like the annotated rules in it, but I didn't bring the casebook for contracts because what is the casebook going to do for me in contracts? But
Precisely. I mean, like, and like in terms of like command Fing through documents, I kind of just had like four things that I allowed myself to look through. Well, five, because I used the UCC, which is the Uniform Commercial Code, the restatement, because our professor just like really loves when we drop those in as analyses. And then I had my main notes, so like my 100 plus pages of notes, um, an outline and an attack outline. So those are the documents I went through. But like honestly, like I was really mostly looking at I was copy pasting from the UCC in the statement, and I was looking at my honestly my reading notes because I just like that's my comfort space, but kind of an insane way to do it. If, without Command F, I wouldn't have done it that way.
yeah, and I think that's the advice everybody 2Ls, 3Ls and attorneys have all said. Oh, like you're going to prepare all these notes and then you're going to get to the exam and you're not going to look at most of them. You're going to look at maybe a couple things max.
Yeah.
Completely true. You don't really look at your notes. You just kind of read the question. You're like, oh, I actually know the answer, and you just start typing, and then before you know it, 2 or 3 hours has gone by, and you're done.
Yeah, yeah. But before we get into like what it's been like for us to take these exams, I want to talk a bit about your pre or our pre and post exam rituals. Do you have any pre-exam rituals that you've been following going into your exams?
I don't know about ritual. I think that a couple friends and I went to the museum the day before our first exam, just kind of as a way to step away from our computers and go outside and go look at some cool stuff. The Philly Art Museum was awesome. So anybody who hasn't gone to the Philly Art Museum, if you're nearby, please come by. It's great. It's one of the few museums that like makes the physical space kind of inhabit the thing. That's a terrible explanation. But for instance, like in the Japanese art exhibit, of course there's Japanese art, and then you walk in and all of a sudden you're in a Japanese village. Like they reconstructed a Japanese village in the museum.
I mean, that sounds kind of like, I mean, from my limited experience of MoMA in New York, but that sounds like MoMA too. Like they kind of like each room is kind of outfitted to what is in that room.
Yeah, but like this was a level that I had not seen. This
Yeah.
was incredible. Yeah, but yeah, like yeah, MoMA, FOMA, I suppose is
No,
what
I mean, yeah. I have been to the Philly Art Museum, and that art museum is like I got one of my most treasured possessions from that museum, which is my like Van Gogh mug. But great museum.
good
That sounds
museum.
fun. So that was
That
before
was before the
Cipro.
first one, and
Uh-huh.
then generally what I've been doing a lot because we don't have class anymore, so we have a lot of downtime. Dude, I've been crushing some books on Kindle Unlimited. I got the Black Friday deal, the 99 cents for 3 months of Kindle Unlimited. So I've just been crushing like these. Okay, all love to these authors. These are not like mainstream published authors.
Mhm.
So they're some version of self-published or like smaller presses. And yeah, they're just like really easy to read, easy breezy books to read. I've been doing Michael Stagg's series, the Nate Shepard legal thriller series. Those are just fun little, small town lawyer in the Midwest kind of stories, like airport novels. Um, uh, so yeah, like those are fun. The Backyard Starship series on Kindle Unlimited's fun. Um, So yeah, just crushing like just these easy breezy books.
Very cool. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think it's really important before the exam to kind of, I mean, the day before the exam to not stress your brain, like, especially that night, like to not like really be like, oh, I'm gonna plug and study, study, study for hours on end. So for me, like what my roommate and I have been doing, we have ours is kind of a ritual where we are watching a movie the night before the exam. So the first movie we watched was wait, I'm blinking. It was Sandra Bullock. It is The Proposal. Have you seen The Proposal?
I have. It's a classic. Sandra Bullock,
Classic.
Ryan Reynolds.
Betty White, highly recommend. Great movie. And then continuing on the Sandra Bullock theme, we watched Miss Congeniality, which Sandra Bullock and Benjamin Bratt. Benjamin Bratt. Also highly recommend. Did not age super well either of those movies in terms of some of the commentary, but you know, who can fault them?
They're products of their time. Miss Congeniality was unironically one of my favorite movies growing up. It was, for a while when I was a kid, my parents would ask me like, "Oh, what's your favorite movie? What do you want to watch?" And I would say
Yeah.
Miss Congeniality. They would get sick of watching that movie. I think it's so funny. I think Sandra Bullock is so funny in that movie. She's so good at comedy. She can do rom com, but she
Yeah.
can just do straight comedy too.
Yeah.
So big fan.
Yeah. Yeah, really great movie. And then I think our plan is to break the Sandra Bullock theme before our before Civ Pro on Wednesday, but I think we're gonna watch Princess Diaries. So transitioning from Sandra to Anne, but looking forward to it nonetheless.
That's a great transition, and I think all do like this is respectful and all of the Sandra to Anne is that's a very natural like that's a close transition. So
Yeah. Yeah.
good call.
But yeah. So that's pre-exam. Are you like post-exam? I found that post-exam I've been spending a lot of money because I'm like, okay, I just finished this, massive accomplishment. Like now it is time for a treat. So like I think Monday I went and got like lunch. I'm planning to get like salt and straw ice cream after Civ Pro. Like these are the rewards which I deserve, even though it's at my my own cost post-exam.
Dude, it's very real. Yeah, my cohort has just been going. We have like a bar right across the street from the law school, so we just go across the street. We get a couple drinks, we get lunch, and yeah, it's expensive, for no reason, but it's like, yeah, 3 or 4 hours, in an exam, you're hungry, you're thirsty,
Yeah.
you want to
Yes.
socialize, you want to chat about not the exam because you're not allowed to talk about the exam, hashtag academic integrity, but you want to chat like just generally. It's like a nice close to the semester for that class. So
Yeah.
I like it. I
No.
like treating yourself.
And that's so true. Like I tell everybody after my exams, because everybody likes to slip in like, "Oh, I thought or I saw or did you?" I- Literally after torts, I was like, if anybody says to me anything about what was on the torts exam, I will battery you. I promise you that. I
Wow.
won't. ABA, I won't. But classmates,
Wow. Batter like with flour and roux and butter.
no, I said battery,
Oh,
battery. I will
oh, oh.
battery
I
you.
was trying to give you
Yeah,
an out. I was trying to give you, like, oh, ABA. She didn't mean battery. She meant
allegedly.
she'll batter you like a fish.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, so it's been a super interesting time going through these exams. I appreciate these pre and post exam rituals because the exams themselves, my goodness. How
So
have they been going
fun.
for you? How have they been going for you?
They're good. I honestly, they're so good. They're fine. All of mine have been fair, super, super fair, like right down the middle of the strike zone. Very well covered by all the stuff we actually learned in class. No surprises. So yeah, super fair, super well written, super well structured. I'm a fan.
Yeah. I think this is our segue to the second topic, by the way, guys. I didn't do it properly.
Segway.
Sorry. I'm like speaking of exams and all of that, Abby, you said yours have been going good. They've been kind of fair and balanced. I would say honestly, despite the fact that, you know, taking a law school exam is a lot, 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours, no breaks is like I've never taken an exam like that, I don't think. Maybe. It's been a long time since undergrad, but I don't know. But like my most recent exam is obviously the LSAT, and like the LSAT you only have like those 35-minute increments, but like even though that like time block feels like a lot, like honestly you really need every minute of that time, so it just is like it just runs by so quickly. And I also agree that my professors have made our exams like, it's not like what is this? I've never seen this before. Like this is so complex. Like it's kind of what you're expecting, and like whether or not you're prepared for that is its own thing.
Yeah, and I feel like specifically at Penn Law, but probably also at UCLA and all of the, all of the schools that people want to go to, I think professors are striking back against the classic law school exam, like the racehorse exam where you're sweating and stressed and hunched over your laptop every minute of the 4 hours. Where like, oh, you feel like you can't take a bathroom break because you need literally every millisecond to get as many words as you can on the
Mm,
page. So the way that our folks have been fighting back, all of our exams have plenty of time. So I feel like, in fact, we were given more time than we needed. And they also give us word counts. So you can't just put words on the page um, just to try to get points. And our every professor has kind of begged. They were like, please don't just write stuff. Like,
yeah,
try to actually answer the questions. We're not going to give you points for just writing a bunch of random shit. Like, please actually write the thing that answers the question. And if you
yeah,
do it in a sentence, that's awesome. If you do it in a clear and concise sentence, that's awesome. You get full points. You don't get extra points for doing it in 4 sentences. That's not how writing works. So
yeah,
they're like trying to limit the length of the exams with word counts. They're trying to give us plenty of time. In fact, they've said, "Hey, we're giving you more, like 30 more minutes than we think you need. Use those minutes to edit and
yeah.
like clean up your writing because we're sick of reading these trash, like word vomit essays. Like actually make them clear and concise and make them make sense." So I actually really appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know that ours is like I think ours is maybe a little bit more racehorse in the sense of like I think the time given for the exam is the time that you should spend on it. Like I'm not saying that you can't like step away from your computer even for a minute or you're gonna like lose everything, but like I think they are pretty like we don't have any word I don't have any word counts on my exam, so I think they're pretty like budgeted for the time. Um but like I just it's like again, like, you get in there, like, you read the prompt and, like, because you've been doing your practice exams, like, you kinda just know where to go, and so you just execute, you know?
Yeah. You go on
Yeah.
autopilot, like, and not in a bad way. It's like in a good way. Like you've been learning all this stuff all semester. Your brain, and you've been studying for
Mhm.
several days. Your brain knows what to talk about, and you start to just do it. You start to think through it. Believe it or not, folks, I think that's called learning. I think
Uh,
we learned some shit, and then
big
we were
if
actually
true.
big if true, and then we were actually
Big
asked to
if
like
true.
recreate what we learned, and that's a good exam. A good exam is like, oh yeah, walk me through what you learned. Of course, with
Yeah.
applying the specific facts that I'm giving you right now that you haven't encountered, and sure, there's going to be some nuance, some mixing of facts, and all this stuff, but it's I think it's fun. I think it's fun. And I'm kind of nerdy about like exam design,
Yeah.
and I like how ours have been designed so far. So
Yeah, I honestly, like, something that's was, like, surprisingly fun to me was, like, outlining,
mm.
which sounds horrid, and it is, but, like, Eh, I say fun because it's like, oh, like that's when I was having that experience of like, oh wait, I did actually learn this and like I do actually know it and it's like, oh, okay, like let's like kind of get into the weeds here a bit. It can also be very overwhelming like looking at that amount of information because of course like you have like your whole semester's worth of information but you're not going to use all of that on your exam like
By
so
definition, you can't. Like
no, you literally can't.
by definition, there's going to be big chunks of the course that don't make it onto the test.
Yeah. So it can be very overwhelming, like thinking about how do I condense all this information so that I can pull any piece of it, like any relevant piece of it for the exam. But like that's just like not really what you're doing with outlining. You're just like, okay, like here's a big picture review, and then you do your practice exams to kind of get an idea of like what's likely to show up on the exam, like how is it likely to be utilized, so on and so forth. And that's been kind of interesting for me.
It's just so look, all love, no hate in this statement. It is so law school to just call studying a different word just to be different. It's just fucking studying, dude. We just study. You just study for the test. But
Yeah.
we call it outlining to make it feel special and different and more scary. Um, and it's a little silly, but outlining is a specific form of studying, and so I do think it's helpful to call it what it is.
Hmm.
Because if you're when you're one up, like we've never done any of this before. So if somebody's advice was, "Oh yeah, you just have to study before the test," I would be like, "No, no shit, dude. Like, of course I have to study before the test." So
Yeah.
it's helpful when people give advice that's more targeted and they say, "Oh, you begin outlining X through the semester, and then you finish your outline by X, by Y in the semester." and then you use your outline on the practice exam. So it's nice to have the terminology to be more specific, but if anybody's listening and they're stressed out because they're like, oh, like what is outlining and what are we like, what is this? It's just notes and it's just studying with your notes.
Yeah, and I think we've also, if you're listening and feeling stressed out, we've talked about like what
Yeah.
outlining is. We did that in the Aaron episode. I'm sure we've done it like throughout the episodes
Yeah. Yeah.
leading up to this. But yeah, like it's really just it's just taking your big notes and making smaller notes and smaller notes until you have like kind of like muscle again, like that muscle memory of
Yeah.
like the information.
And hopefully the notes end up in your brain. Like that's the process of like whittling your outline down is actually just rereading it over and over again and retyping it
Yes.
over and over again to try to just get it in your brain.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's and oh my goodness, going through this exam season, I feel like I've learned so much about like how I want to like change my approach
Really?
going into next semester. Yes. Oh my gosh,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. What are your big
Yeah.
changes? Well, so
I mean,
I guess what did you think you had to do it right, and then what do you now think you will do to do it right?
hmm. I mean, I'm talking about like just overview of the entire semester, but like I think something I felt like I had to do to like learn the information that I don't think actually was very helpful. I mean, I feel like I spent like, one thing I would do next semester is kind of, like, give myself homework assignments, and, like, that sounds insane because we obviously have homework, but, like, I think when I say homework, like, I would put less emphasis on, like, fully reading, trying to really, like, mesh through a case and understand a case outside of class time, and more time on, like, okay, like, get the beats of the case so that when you come into class, like, you can and I think you've talked about this too, but, like, get the beats of the case so that when you come into class, you can understand it, and then, like, work through like problem sets in your textbook or like if your professor gives them to you, whatever. Like if there's any problem sets that you can work through applying, because that's what the exams are. It's applying the knowledge, and not a lot of the course is focused primarily on that, like just based off like your syllabi and what your reading assignments are.
Yeah, I think that's really good insight, and I think that's a mistake that all of us made. I think
Yeah.
everyone else, the first month of school, we took notes on the cases, or at least I did. I took such deep notes on the cases that when I walked into class, I knew the case is cold, but that's not the point. The point isn't to know the case cold. The point is to try to get a rule statement or two and extract one or two action items out of the case in your professor's perspective, in their words. What is the rule statement of this case? Because exactly like you just said, Amina, we then have to apply those rules to new fact patterns. So it actually doesn't really matter. Like it does. Obviously, the fact patterns matter because the rule statements are related in some way to the facts of the case. And so if you change some facts, you might actually have to change how you apply the rule. But that's the metacognition of like, oh, X, this case was about pipes in a house. But what if it wasn't about pipes in a house? Well, that's a great question to ask. Like, and that's what you should practice doing once you get the rules out of the professor's brain and into yours. Then you should contemplate, oh, but like, what if this was a bigger deal? What if this was a smaller deal? How would I think through this problem? And that's 100% agree. My whole setup for next semester is going to be completely different. It's going to
Yeah.
be just flip through the case, get the beats like you said. That's a very Hollywood way to say it, but California, what can you say?
What can you
Um,
do?
yeah, what can you do? Yeah, the beats, get the beats, and then yeah, really pay attention to how your professor breaks it down. Write down the rule statement. Make sure that makes it into your outline, and then just practice applying that rule.
Yeah, I think, like, doing the problem sets would be because, like, I mean, that's, like, the big complaint, with law school, right, is, like, there's no, like, feedback and there's no accountability, so you're kinda, like, going through the semester like, "Okay, I don't really know if this is working or not, but, like, we'll see." And I think that's kind of the way that you can get that feedback, and I feel like when I was going through this semester, I felt so overwhelmed with the reading and the note taking and all of that, like, I couldn't and so many things. But, like, I couldn't think about, like, "Oh, like, you should try applying these things," and, like, that's where you can, like I think that's where you can really do the substantive learning. I mean, like, same thing
Yeah,
with the LSAT, it's like the way to learn the LSAT is doing the problems. Like, I think it's akin to, like, spending all your time reading lessons from, like, "Oh, here's how to
and
do,"
never doing a freaking LSAT question.
and never doing the question, and then all of a sudden you have to take the LSAT, and it's like, "Oh, but I've never done this before." Like, I can tell you
Yeah,
all about, like, if then, if but only if, blah, 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 but, like, I've never actually put it to practice, so I don't, like I've never actually worked through it. It's the same thing. So that's what like that's a huge major like overline thing I would change next semester.
100%, dude. 100%. And I
Yeah.
am so grateful. I will never stop preaching about the awesome professors we have at Penn. They built in feedback for us. Our contracts professor, Professor Wilkinson Ryan, literally gave us practice problems almost every week, and she and the TAs would grade it, and then they would return it to us with feedback. And she made it clear
Ooh.
that you could bring your graded practice problem, which were just mini exam questions. You could
Yeah.
bring them to office hours, and she would answer any questions you have about them. Incredible. Our freaking Civ Pro professor gave us detailed feedback on an entire practice exam. Our torch professor throughout the semester gave us practice assignments and gave us feedback, and the TAs would give us feedback on it. So seeking feedback is so huge. Seeking feedback on writing about the stuff.
Mhm.
Like figure out ways that you can try to write about the things and then show it to TAs, show it to your professor at office hours, and ask them if you screwed it up. And you probably
Yeah.
did, and they should
And you
tell you,
probably did.
and then you'll learn.
Yeah, and I think that's like because I knew like I knew like, oh, you should go to your professor's office hours. And like to be fair, I mean like our professors, I mean Civ Pro and contracts, like there were like problem sets built in. But like I don't think I really understood like how to use office hours. Like how can I like I didn't, I don't know what I don't know. So I can't like take this team to like, oh, this is what I'm like having trouble with, whatever. Like and I think that doing like working through problem sets would have exposed that
Yeah,
earlier on and like made it easier for me to like have a conversation with my professor that would have been useful to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're scratching your head wondering, I feel like I feel like I have an okay grasp on a concept that we just learned, but there's something bugging me about it, and I can't articulate a question for office hours. Try to apply the thing, and you'll see where your understanding falls short, and that's what you should ask about in office hours.
Yeah.
So,
And that might come up for you in outlining, like as you're synthesizing your notes. I think for me, like the problem sets would be a good one. And then like another thing that I would change, like just having gone through my outlines, like I feel like I'm going to keep like a case list, a case list from like the cases that we've read in class, just so that like when I go back through and I'm outlining, like I can make sure that I have like all the relevant cases in my notes and like or if there's a case I didn't actually put in my notes but we talked about it like then I can just be like, "Oh, like you're like shaking your head like why
your
wouldn't it be in your notes?"
your your syllabus doesn't have the cases on it?
So, okay, right. So, like I mean, I'm doing CIPRO right now and like specifically I was thinking like, "Oh, I should like make sure that I have all the CIPRO cases." But like our syllabus is just the casebook numbers for the most part.
Oh, like page numbers?
Mhm.
Oh no.
Right. So like now I can't be like, okay, high level, like what are all the cases that we read? Because like that would require me to go through all those page numbers and pull out all the cases that were in them. I'm not doing it. So now I'm like, okay, like probably I have everything in my notes, but like I can't like double check. So I think like if run into that again, like I would just keep a quick, well, no, even like contracts where we had the case names, like just pull them out and put them on a list so that like another semester I can just reference back to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Another shortcut maybe if you have the outline from last year, the outline probably is like probably 99% of the cases you covered. So
I mean, wait, what do you mean the outline from last year? Like somebody else's outline?
yeah, or like your TA's outline or something.
I don't you're using TA like I don't think we have like TAs like that. Like I mean like our
Uh,
TAs like when I think of the TA in our classes, I mean maybe I just don't know that they have this alternate function, but like I'm thinking like the person who like drops off the printed copies of stuff that our teacher wanted printed.
Man, another W for Penn Law. And maybe a Wicked Witch, maybe a Wicked Witch for Penn Law, and maybe a Madam Web for UCLA.
Uh-huh.
Is
Madam
is our
Marvel, but yeah.
our TAs are actually they do office hours, and they help us learn stuff. So
Yeah, I mean we have like something like that, but not like a TA like each class. Like we have like a generalized like somebody who went through our courses, but yeah. Anyway,
can't
um
relate. Can't relate.
things I would do differently. Excited to implement them next semester and see how everything goes.
Things differently. Come to Penn Law. I don't
Or
know.
yeah, go to Penn. Yeah. But that's
Although
the exam over.
it did snow this morning, Amina. So I think you'd be pretty sad if you were here at Penn.
And you know that I am very much a California girl and
You are.
very, very acquainted to warm weather.
You are. So I think you made the right call.
Yeah, just have to, find your ways to work around it. But yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Segue.
Segue.
We have some nice listener comments to share, Amina.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, it's just a couple people chiming in on YouTube saying good luck on finals and letting us know that we're going to crush it. So thanks everybody who commented on YouTube and um, for the folks who didn't comment on Spotify, sad
Sad.
face.
But although I think one of those comments on YouTube was telling us to do the hot the hot ones challenge.
Oh, is that the
So
do it? I thought the do it
yeah.
was like do finals.
No, I think it's do the hot ones challenge.
Well, okay, then Nate.
But
We for work we have to order. we, for work we have to order chicken wings and hot sauce. So,
sorry, the people want to see it.
what if we just one for one, frame for frame, ripped off hot ones, but just made it about law school? But it was just us every week.
Is that,
Like,
I mean, I
but
don't watch
like,
enough hot ones to really like understand what you
oh,
mean by that, but
so Hot Ones is funny because it's like Sean Evans interviewing a new person every week, and
mhm.
his whole thing is that he asks really good questions. But it would be hilarious if we just did a shot for shot remake of Hot Ones, but it was just the same two people because it would just be us interviewing each other every week.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's get our backdrops going. Let's get the hot sauce flowing. Like,
yeah,
let's do
yeah,
it.
yeah. Let's
Yeah.
okay, yeah. We're gonna figure out when to do this Hot Ones episode, but
Hmm.
we're gonna have to. This is gonna take some outside funding, so we need to get the boss's approval on this one. Tough. Yeah,
Um,
thanks for commenting, folks. I
yeah.
also think, Amina, that we have a listener story that you wanted to share.
Yeah. Okay. So we had a listener write in. This story comes from Naila, who is a student at UC Berkeley, but a non-law student who lives in one of the Berkeley co-ops with a law student. And she was mentioning how listening to the podcast has helped her relate to the law student in her co-op because she is able to like converse with her about outlines, although the extent of that conversation it doesn't seem is going to like very wide just because who wants to talk about outlines, but also she understands like what this law student is going through in the exam season and is kind of like giving grace in terms of like household responsibilities and things of that nature because it's a hard time for us and we need the time to study. So glad that this podcast is creating empathy and like yeah,
We're
we're changing
changing the world.
lives.
We're changing the world, Amina. And look, are we directly solving any problems? No. But much like Bono and Project Red, we're raising awareness, and that's important. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
So I
we're
guess
Bono.
yeah, and like Albie always says, like share it with a law student in your life, but I guess you can also share it with a non-law student in your life.
Share
Help
with a
them understand.
non-law student who might be physically adjacent or cohabiting with potential law students,
Yeah.
and we'll Bono them. So yeah.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
don't know if Bono's going to be super happy with me using his name as a verb, but you know.
Yeah.
Thank you, listeners. Thank you, everybody who comments and listens, and we love you. Amina, a really, really important legal news for some really important legal news for the current event segment.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
possibly the biggest story we've broken all week, or all not all week, all
Definitely
all
the biggest story we've
semester.
broken all week.
Yeah, so okay, for context, folks, Amina and I were scouring for some interesting legal news for the week, and like, look, man, it's the week before Christmas, like, not a lot's going on. Even SCOTUS is out of turn, like they're not coming back until January, so there's not a lot going on. So this is the best story I could find for legal news. Kim Kardashian got a Fortnite skin. So that's what I have for legal news of the week. If you guys want to go check out Kim K, we're big Kim Kardashian fans here on the show. So Kim K, if you're listening, if you ever want to come on the pod, please reach out. It's just crushing1l.com. You can reach out to us. We'd love to have you. Really the legal aspect of the story is that she recently, the episode on the Kardashians aired where she kind of celebrated finishing her apprentice program. Of course, she finished her apprentice program much earlier in the year, back in May, but the episode just aired, and it was a cute little celebration. She she celebrated finishing her apprenticeship program. Of course, this was before she very publicly failed the California bar, but hey, we've talked about how that's not a big deal. But what is a big deal is that she is immortalized in the world of Fortnite. So
Yeah, right.
go check her out. Do you think Ben and Nate would sponsor us getting the Kim Kardashian Fortnite skin?
Do you play Fortnite?
No, but I would.
Mm.
For
I
Kim?
mean, how much is a skin? Like,
I don't know, $10. It's like the Arrested Development. It's a banana, Michael. How much could it cost? $20? I don't
right.
know. I have no
Yeah, I don't
idea.
know, maybe. Shoot them an email, see what
Yeah, yeah.
happens.
So okay, so on the list for stuff we're asking for Christmas from the bosses, Hot Ones episode, Kim Kardashian Fortnite skin.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep a running list.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. Please do. Okay, segue moving into our legal word of the week, which or wow, which does not itself have any legal news attachment, but it does have like social news attachment. So for those of you who are at all like following the Wicked Press tour, you may have seen Michelle Yeoh, who is very excited about the connection between Madame Marvel and Wicked Witch. So you may have seen like this hand motion, heard like that whole thing. But my roommate showed me this TikTok recently, as we're studying, well, me studying for Civ Pro, Avi, you've been through Civ Pro, but showed me a use of this for my Civ Pro exam. So you have minimum contacts, flip it around, worldwide Volkswagen, genius
Or
stuff.
worldwide Volkswagen. Am I doing it right? Worldwide Volkswagen fairness factors. Worldwide Volkswagen purposeful availment. Worldwide
Right.
Volkswagen specific personal jurisdiction.
So everybody
Am I
just
doing it
note
right?
that Avi is confused on what the letter W looks like.
Madam Web, Spider Man.
Right. But
Kind of
so that's
kind of
our
the same kind of the same thing that you just did.
Lowell this week is minimum contacts. So minimum contacts is a concept which comes from the case Worldwide Volkswagen. Well, yeah, comes from Worldwide
Well,
Volkswagen, more or
international shoe.
less.
International
International
shoe.
Shoe, Worldwide
Yeah.
Volkswagen. They're all in anyway. It's a concept that comes from that line of cases in Civ Pro, which deals with personal jurisdiction. And the idea is that you can establish personal jurisdiction through minimum contacts with a state. And that's where we get that from, worldwide Volkswagen minimum contacts.
Yeah. And if you're wondering like why it that seems like, oh, law school is just memorizing random phrases. And it's not at all. What's interesting about minimum context, I think, is that it was a new way of thinking about states having power over entities that may not be physically present in the state themselves. Um, Classic way of deciding jurisdiction was, well, are you in my state, right? Like if I'm a
Right.
state court, are you in my state? Because that's an easy way of deciding if I have jurisdiction over you. But as, of course, technology progressed and time went on, people had increasing contacts with states that they may or may not have actually resided in or been physically present in. So there was this company back in the day, International Shoe. They had shoe salesmen in all 50 states. And one of the states wanted to charge them, taxes or something. And the shoe company was like, what are you talking about? Washington State? I've never even lived in Washington. So how can you tax me? And the state of Washington was like, well, come on, dude, you're here all the time. You do all this shit in Washington. We should be able to tax you. So essentially, we were like, oh, we should have an alternate doctrine for figuring out if states have jurisdiction over things, including corporations or people. And that's where we got minimum context from. Worldwide Volkswagen asked the daring question of, does this apply to automobiles? And yes, kind of, it does. Even though the holding in Worldwide was you cannot have jurisdiction over a random ass car in your state if that's the only car in the state. And it's not that that was the only Volkswagen in the state, right? I mean, it was the fact that this like New York car dealership
Yeah.
called Worldwide Volkswagen in like New York, in like Long Island. They sold the car
Yeah.
to somebody in Long Island, and the guy drove it to Oklahoma and crashed it. And the state court of Oklahoma was like, we have jurisdiction over you, Worldwide Volkswagen from Long Island, New York. And they were like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I've never been to Oklahoma. We've never sold a car in Oklahoma. Why are you up in my business? So
Yeah. Okay, so I'll be giving you like the full like Civ Pro rundown of the minimum contacts thing.
I
It's a
did.
very like there's a lot to get into. I was trying to like evade it, but yeah,
I
that's kind of
love
like
civil procedure. Folks, I miss civil procedure. It was my first exam, as you guys know, and I'm so sad that it's over because that meant I had to stop thinking about civil procedure and I had to start thinking about contracts and torts. So
yikes.
sad.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, the minimum contacts thing, like the idea there is like as Abby was saying, like you can have general jurisdiction where it's like that person is just, part of the state. Like they have such, what is it, systematic and continuous connections with the state that they are considered to be like domiciled there or a citizen of that state.
That's Goodyear, but yeah.
I mean, yes, this is a different this is a different doctrine, but with specific jurisdiction, which is like the international shoe and worldwide Volkswagen and so on and so forth, kind of part of this personal jurisdiction umbrella, is that if you are not domiciled or a citizen of a specific state, whether you be a corporation or an individual, then you can still establish jurisdiction over that corporation or that individual by way of their minimum contacts and also their personal or purposeful availment. But we didn't get into that. Um, if you have a claim arising out of the context that happened with that state. So yeah, that's like
Minimum
a little
context,
bit
purposeful availment.
that's like a big picture, little picture, like very small aspect of personal jurisdiction. Well, not aspect, but overview of personal jurisdiction and our Lowell minimum contacts as connected to worldwide Volkswagen.
Minimum context, worldwide Volkswagen.
Enjoy. Yeah, but that's our Lowell for this week. Guys, I don't know if you can tell, we're coming to the end of the semester. We're giving everything we've got to these last exams, and that's
If
what's happening
I
here.
could certainly, I could certainly and plausibly be accused of running out of gas.
Yeah.
And that may or may not be true, but I will leave it all on the frickin' field if it's the last thing I do.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope yeah, I don't even know what to say
I
about
don't even know
that.
what to say, dude. Minimum contacts,
Oh my
purposeful
god.
availment. Okay. Aaminah, legal drama.
Legal drama. Oh, that's right. I wanted to just add a clarification to last week's legal drama. For those of you who are still following, who are still hanging on in this episode, I appreciate you.
They're 40 minutes in, and goodness gracious.
Here's what I have to say. So, in our conversation last week about whether or not a sign could act as permission for somebody to have consent to come on to uh, a land to pick up after or a property to pick up after their dog. We kind of got into a conversation, Abby, with you talking about duty and unintentional torts and like duties that landowners owe to the people who come onto their property. And I just want to clarify, like, in terms of duty and trespass, like, they are related concepts in so much that a landowner has a duty to a person who is trespassing on their property, even though they are trespassing. But in terms of whether or not you're allowed to come on to somebody's property, the landowner's duty is unrelated because
Independent.
yeah, like duty and like negligence claims are independent of the intentional tort of trespass and whether or not one, you can be liable for that for that trespass, and two, if there's a defense to that trespass. So like in intentional torts, the defense that we would use to kind of combat like trespass in terms of that sign would be consent, and you would go kind of either through express consent, like the sign expressly says, oh, like please come onto your property if you need to pick up onto this property if you need to pick up after your dog, or you might have implied consent of like, oh, this person has doggy bags on their property and a trash can, like that's, them impliedly consenting to me coming onto this property for this purpose. That's not that is not legal advice, but that's the analysis. I just wanted to make that clarification in terms of intentional, unintentional torts.
And this has been Corrections with Seth Meyer. Just kidding. That's Aaminah, not Seth Meyers. Is it Myers or Meyer?
Surprise. No clue.
Okay. Well, he's fine. Seth, if you're listening and you ever want to come on the pod, I mean, just hit us up. It's crushing1l.com. We'd be happy to have you anytime, any day of the week. Also, I did mention Sean Evans, and Sean, if you're still watching the pod, if you want to ever come
Still.
on, we'd love to have you. I'd love to reverse hot ones, yeah. And my legal drama comments, I mean, thank you for that clarification. My comments are the third Knives Out movie came out this weekend. So by the time you're watching this episode or listening to this episode, it'll be Thursday. And so it will have been out for almost a week. So if you haven't already seen it, go see it. I haven't seen it, but I plan on seeing it after we stop recording this podcast. And so I'll let you
Wow.
know how it is next week. Um, Also, yeah, folks, go read some books. Go read it. On my TBR, the Tainted Cup. It's like that fantasy detective theory, detective, kind of like fantasy noir novel, um, that won like the Hugo Award recently. So that's on my TBR. go read some easy reading books on Kindle Unlimited. Hashtag Michael. Shout out to Michael Stagg. I love your books, Michael. If you're listening to the pod, and you want to come on, I think Michael Stagg's a pen name, so he doesn't know. He doesn't know if he's listening or not. I don't know, Mina. I'm running on fumes, brother. That's all I got. I don't know. I'm losing my mind. Obviously, I'm losing my freaking mind over here. So
Yeah,
no
that's
comment.
okay. That's all I've got for this week too. Hopefully next week we're gonna try and do like a, big semester wrap up, kind of give you like our beats, our high level beats of the semester and like leave you with good vibes as we go into the holiday season. But for this week, we are like literally just sprinting towards that finish line, giving it that last final push and
Yeah,
pray for us.
yeah. We're on mile 25. You
Oh my
know.
God, literally that. I'm like in terms of like that marathon, like what do you call that? Analogy. The marathon analogy. Like they say like when you're running the marathon, and I can attest to this, you actually run two marathons. So you run miles 1 through 20 and then 21 through 26 is its own separate second marathon.
Yeah.
Yes, we are
Yeah.
miles 21 through 26 right now, and it is brutal, but it is going to get
It's fun,
done.
dude. It's fun. There is like a runner's high associated with it, where it's like, holy cow, like we're getting there. We're almost through the
We're
semester,
still moving.
dude.
Yeah.
We're still moving. One foot in front of the other. One more exam to go, and then as soon as we walk out of the exam, like we're gonna go home for the holidays. We have like a whole month off, so I don't even know what I'm gonna do. So yeah, whatever. We'll figure it out. And anyone else listening to the pod, please, if you haven't like commented or written in yet, I'm begging you. This is the week 2 because we would
Yeah.
feature any stories. We're gonna do like 1L stories from the Demon team. But
Yeah.
if any of y'all have any takeaways, highlights, stories that you want to tell from your first semester in 1L, please send them in. You can write into the pod at podcast@crushing1l.com, or just use the freaking website. It's easier. Crushing 1L is just crushing the number 1L and then the letter L.com. But I think that's it, Amina.
I think that's it, Albie.
Okay, so if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. You could leave a review, or, like Amina mentioned earlier, share it with anybody. Share it with any human person that may or may not be thinking about law school, but not necessarily even thinking about law school. Maybe just adjacent to a law school human. Um, and I just told you where to write in if you have questions. But that's all we got, folks. That's it for this episode of Crushing 1L. And I've been Abhi. That's been Aaminah. Until next time, keep crushing it.